Good evening, everyone. Dr. Jonathan Shepard here. It is so wonderful to be with you on another episode of Ask the Doctors. Again, I am Jonathan Shepard, Chief Medical Director over at the Hope Health Systems, which is located in Woodlawn, Maryland. It's so nice to see you on this particular day. I am inviting you to join us for this broadcast, such an important broadcast and topic that we have today. I'm delighted that you would even spend the time with us as we talk about Black History and Women's History Month. This is our Black History and Women's History Month series, and have some real special guests with me today. I am so elated, so excited. But I want to let you know that Hope Health Systems, which is a sponsor of this particular broadcast, we're located, as I said, in Woodlawn. And if you're in need of mental health services, you can go to our website and we will gladly service you. As you go to our website, you can fill out information for a referral if you're in need of mental health services for a child, adolescent, or adult. We do all ages. And I believe that we're one of the best organizations in this country, as a matter of fact, the world, when it comes to direct mental health services. It is my job today to hopefully encourage and inspire you as we're talking here today about the state of mental health of the Black female. And let me tell you, I am so proud that today I have two special guests. I'm going to bring on one guest first. She is a friend of mine, has been a friend of mine for years. We work together. In the mental health arena. She is the vice chair of the Black Mental Health Alliance, and she's been serving in that position for multiple years. And I serve as the president, so we work well together as an executive committee team member. And those people at Hope Health Systems, if you're watching, you know her because she has served as a supervisor. She has taught multiple classes and continues to get rave reviews. And that is Dr. LaKeita D. Carter. I don't know what the D stand for, but Dr. LaKeita D. Carter. How you doing?
I'm good. There's still some things you have yet to know about me, friend.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I look forward to find out what those things are. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and it's wonderful to be here with you again. Always excited to be with you on Ask the Doctors.
Wonderful. And you have been with me in different roles. You served as a parent in one of those educational shows that we did, but also in your place of practice and business. So tell us a little bit about your place of practice and business and what else you want the audience to know.
Sure. I'm the owner and CEO of the Institute for Healing, which is located in Owensboro, Maryland. We are we do mental health services from ages 4 on up. We see everybody from adjustment disorders to the very sick, and we have a number of programs that could fit for some of our viewers. We have an outpatient mental health treatment center as well as a mobile treatment service. We have a weight management program that's newer to us.
Oh, wow.
And we have an advocacy branch where we do research on sexual health and wellness. So those are just a few of the things that we do. And we are certainly, if you're in need of mental health help, we have certainly partnered with Hope many times. And as we always say, there's more than enough to go around. We are in no way competitors with Hope. We do the same things, but we partner with each other to do those things well. The goal is to get the community to have a healthy community, and all of us need to be involved in that.
So absolutely. And you're right. We work well together. Many times I will refer people over to Institute for Healing, or I Heal for short, over Always Mills. And I tell you, everyone who goes over there, if they're able to stay, and sometimes they don't because of the distance, but that's the only reason why I have heard why people dropped out. It's not because they're not happy or satisfied with the services over there. So I am so happy to be in partnership with you. Let me tell you, she is award winning too. So she is, I purposely did tell her ahead of time But I want to just talk about some of the awards that she has received before we bring on our real special guest. Dr. Carter, you
Yeah.
received some wonderful awards recently. Just tell us just a little bit about it.
Oh my. That's not what we're here for.
I
Um,
know, but again, we're lifting up.
yes. Okay. So in 2021, I was named one of Maryland's top 100 women, and also won recognition for being the top 50 women-owned businesses in the greater Baltimore area, top 50 minority-owned businesses and business in the greater Baltimore area, and seventh fastest growing private company in the area as well in 2021.
Oh, I didn't know that last one.
Yeah.
Wow. See, that's why. And again, and I understand your humility, and I thank you for that. But one of the things that we also have to do, which is why I've just provoked her just a little bit, is celebrate
Yeah.
our own. And that's why I wanted to do that. And so
Yeah.
thank you for allowing me to do that because you deserve that celebration. You deserve that recognition. I know how hard you work, and she's a tremendous mother too, and she has a wonderful family. And thank you for being with us today, Dr. Carter. Now we have a special guest, and I must say this is a double honor for Ask the Doctors. I've been waiting to have someone of this caliber. Now, Dr. Carter, I love you. You have a special caliber.
I've
but
been on the show 3 times, everybody, and he's waiting for somebody of this caliber. But I will say I 100% agree. 100%.
Oh man. Again, this is batch that we do back and forth. But to have someone who's actually currently in office, who is helping in shaping the governmental policies of the county where we live and work, this is an honor. And so, Dr. Carter, please do me the show the privilege of introducing our next guest.
So I can't say enough wonderful things about this woman. Her name is Stacy Rodgers, and she is a remarkable woman with a ton of spirit and passion and intellect and tenacity about anything that she does. She currently is the Chief Administrative Officer for Baltimore County, so works directly with the county executive and leads a team of people there to make sure that the county is serving the community in a multitude of ways. And that you can find on the internet. What you can't find on the internet is that Sister Stacy is also a wife and a mom. She's a grandmother, proud grandmother. And she once said to me, you love your kids, but you're in love with your grandkids. And I told my dad that, and he said, that's the perfect way to put it. So she's such a proud grandmother. And she's also a Christian woman. We are members of the church, of the same church. She's the superintendent of our Sunday school. And yep, and she's led a multitude of workshops and programs at church. And she's also a 39-year member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, being initiated at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, I believe. So I'm excited to talk with her today about women and mental health.
Oh, this is awesome.
Oh,
And
and she's my mentor, and she's an exceptional one.
absolutely. And we're bringing on Mrs. Stacy Rodgers. Welcome to Ask the Doctors. How you doing?
Well, Dr. Shepard and Dr. Carter, it's my honor to have the invitation. Just so excited for the great work that you both are doing. Of course, I'm familiar with Hope Health Systems here in the county in terms of serving the populations that we mutually serve as well in terms of mental health needs for clients from Health and Human Services. And Dr. Shepard, I'm sure you know Dr. Gregory Branch,
Oh, absolutely.
who is our extraordinary health officer.
Yes.
We talk daily. And
Wow.
again, another Christian servant leader, because that's how we see ourselves. And it is our charge for such a time as this
Mm.
to care for those that are in our community, look like us. We're charged to care for everyone, but we have to care for those in our community who look like us and that we understand uniquely the needs in our community.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank
Knowing
you.
the government can't do it alone
Mhm.
Mm.
without entrepreneurs, without individuals like yourselves who are taking up the mantle and approaching this work from the private sector, partnering with government, sharing the work. Because the misnomer is government cannot serve all the needs of the public, contrary to popular belief.
Right.
It has to be a partnership in terms of serving the needs and caring for those we are charged to care for.
Absolutely. Wonderful way to begin this particular segment. The first question I have for you all is I want you to talk about what do you believe are the factors, the positive factors that are affecting the mental health of the Black female? And I chose that word positive because I want to start on a certain foundation. There's a certain aura that I want to set an atmosphere. So, Ken, and that's for either one of you. Let's talk about some of the positive factors that are now influencing and affecting the mental health of our Black women.
Well,
Dr.
Dr.
Carter?
Carter, I'm happy to start. I'll say that Black women and, in general, women of color, we're resilient.
Mm-hmm.
And I think resiliency um, comes out of necessity. Uh,
Mm.
Historically, if we look at historical patterns, going all the way back to to slavery, then post slavery, the antebellum era,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Crow, all the way to where we are now. Black women have taken care of their families, have persevered, have figured out how to make something out of nothing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, often have put the needs of others before their own.
Mm-hmm.
And in some instances that I hope we'll have the time to talk about, to their own detriment. I'm,
Yes.
I'm raising my hand as one, and we'll talk about self care that my dear sister, Dr. Carter, tells me constantly that self care is so important. But see that genetic, I think it's just in genetic coding.
Mm.
Black women, because I can go back, I didn't even know my great grandmother because she died before I was born, but I know of her because of oral tradition, photos, and being told this is where you come from and who you come from, and this is why we do what we do, and this is important to maintaining family,
Mm.
keeping family, and making sure that nuclear family survived
Wow.
regardless of the circumstances. And I think that's inherent uh, in most, if not all, African American women to some degree.
Mm. Dr. Carter, genetic coding. Wow. Go on.
Yeah, I think, well, what Sister Stacy's talking about is our socialization, that girls are socialized to care for others before themselves. And then if you break that down into other races, that people of color are absolutely socialized, particularly women of color, to take care of yourself. That selfishness is when you put your own needs before others, which then directly flies in the face of the sayings that we use, like "you can't pour from an empty cup."
Mm.
So which one is it? Are you going to try to pour from an empty cup, or are you going to take care of yourself first so that you can take care of others? Right? We get a lot of conflicting messages. To answer
Wow.
your question, I would say that one of the things, to add to what Sister Stacy said, to one of the factors that affects Black women's health positively is our collectivistic attitude.
Mhm.
Um, Black women want to be around each other. And obviously, I'm speaking generally, not 100% of Black women are like this, but generally speaking, women of color are very collectivistic. They want to be in social groupings, religious groupings, sororities. They want to be in places where they can share they have like-minded colleagues who understand their experience, and they can bounce off of each other. And I think that really helps with mental health support,
Mhm.
that we have people who we believe get us. So that, I would say, that's one very positive thing about mental health in Black women. I would also say that I'm starting to see a really positive trend of Black women saying, I had to get in therapy about that,
Mhm.
or
Mm.
have wearing shirts, wearing, outwardly expressing that
Mhm.
their mental health is at the forefront of their minds, pun intended. Outward
Mhm.
expression, absolutely. I think that's been really wonderful. I one of the things that I think often is, so is that just my experience, right? I'm in mental health. So I naturally see when people are promoting mental health messages. It's like looking for a purple car. If you look for a purple car, eventually you'll every car you see will be purple. So
Right.
I often wonder that, and I wonder how much of my experience is very much so related to what area of the country I live in, right? Because there's a lot of diversity on the East Coast. But with that being said, that's what I'm seeing in my space.
This is really good, really good. Thank you for helping me set the tone, because I don't want people to walk away thinking that it's all negative. I
No.
want people to understand that there are some positive things that are coming up out of this particular
Mhm,
pandemic and even the season that where we find ourselves. Because we do find ourselves in the midst of a mental health crisis. And
mhm,
actually, Mrs. Stacy Rodgers, she actually illuminated some of those negative factors. Sometimes thinking that you have to do it all,
mhm.
or that all is on you and rests upon you. But you know what? Even as I just said that, I kind of felt bad, because for some women, that is all they have.
Mhm.
You know, yeah. So let's just dive just a little bit, since I stayed there. Let's dive just a little bit further into some of those negative stereotypes that we need to fight against for mental health, for Black women, or mental wellness, I should say, for Black women.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, we need to fight against stigma that you have to be crazy in order to come to therapy.
Mhm.
We need to fight against emotions, and, having emotions is somehow means that you're out of control, or having intense emotions means that you're out of control. Because all of us have had an experience where we are just overcome, and we respond the way we respond. Obviously, that doesn't mean we can be violent or abusive towards other people, but having an emotional response that's intense makes you human. So I
Mhm.
think that is something that we really need to fight against. Fight against the idea that self-care is manicures and pedicures, and facials. That self-care is reading a book, self-care is taking a bath, self-care is journaling, coloring, taking a walk. It's so many things that are absolutely free to you. And so while manis and pedis are wonderful, not everybody can afford that. And it's not necessary to take care of yourself. Taking care of
Mm.
yourself, and we have to fight against the idea that no is bad,
Mhm.
that hearing no is bad, or that saying no is bad.
Wow.
Because what I was taught was that rejection is protection. If
Mm.
I get a no, then I'm thinking, I wonder what door God closed, because that would have been a bad ride for me.
Wow.
Mhm.
So when I get rejected in any way, whether it's no, we don't have any lasagna today, or no, you didn't win this contract. When I get rejected, I think, okay, so there was something that I wasn't supposed to. That wasn't for me, and what's
Mhm.
you know, what I believe is that what's for me is what's for me. One of my colleagues once said to me, "What God has for you won't miss you," which is, you know, what
There
she's
you go.
so that was what her people say, and what in my culture, it's what God has for you is for you, right? So I think we need to fight against that. That somehow, if we've missed something, it, you know, then we've missed it. But for me, rejection is protection, and sometimes I'm grateful that I'm allowed to see what I was protected from. I don't always see it. I don't always. But sometimes I'm grateful to
Wow.
I get a glimpse of, oh, if I had done that, then
Wow.
I would have worked with her. That would have been very unhealthy for me
Wow.
because this person had this experience. Okay, I see what you're doing here. I'll be more obedient and trust.
Right. And I want to build on that and really looking at it from a workplace centric approach, because stereotypes about Black women really can set the tone, because I'm often the lone Black person, not
Wow.
just a Black woman, the lone Black person in rooms. And
Wow.
I've experienced this throughout my career. God has truly blessed me to work at every level of government. I've worked for the state, I've worked for 2 counties, I've worked for 2 cities, and I have just kept circling the Beltway. God kept me in this area because my strategic prayer was, Lord, I need to stay local because of other commitments. And then ultimately, I worked at the federal level, and just a blessing to be a part of the Obama administration.
Wow.
So, but I have seen the same kind of what I call psychosis in the workplace when it comes to Black women, particularly Black women who are confident, Black women who are skilled and educated. The misnomer that, oh, we're bossy, or we're controlling, or we're micromanaging. The other folks don't get those labels, because when we have to be in a role that has historically been a non-traditional role for Black women, then you're getting a response, because guess what? Y'all not used to dealing with a Black woman. I mean, because then you're bringing your implicit biases to that relationship. So it's working through those issues, and as strong, confident, capable, qualified, and strategically placed, because we serve a strategic God. He doesn't bring us to anything or any place or any task that he's given us that he hasn't prepared us for.
Wow.
He, as Dr. Carter said, we're going to bypass some things strategically, because that's not what our strategic pathway was set. But in the current role, let's just start with the current role. I am the first Black woman to serve as the county administrative officer in the 365-year history of this county. Now, come on. This is 2022. I came into this role on April 1st, 2019. And as a result, just seeing, that's a glass ceiling breaking event. Well, I'm here to say to you that it's wonderful to break glass ceilings, because we're setting a new standard for those to come behind us. It's not about, and I've said this multiple times publicly, it's not about me for this moment at this time, but it's me in this space doing what I do to demonstrate that African American women and men as well can do these jobs.
Yes.
Contrary to popular belief.
Yes.
But in doing this job and breaking that glass ceiling, believe that the glass that you break, the shards fall, and yes, indeed, folks are going to come after you
Wow.
because the issue at hand is we're being perceived as taking somebody else's job. We're taking
Taking up
a
space.
job that had been reserved for a certain group of people. But all we can do is be who we are, be authentic, be mission focused, God centered, and know that even though it gets hard sometimes, we're in control of our emotions, regardless of what people say. But there will be moments, as Dr. Carter said, where when it might not be pretty, but you control as you can because not only in the workplace, in church,
Mm-hmm.
in our cultural groups, because this isn't just a gender bias. We have it within our own communities. We have it within our own culture, and the pressure that occurs and gets put on us to the degree that we begin to feel like I cannot show any vulnerability.
Mm.
I cannot show any weakness.
Wow.
I have to put on the mask of invincibility. I have to stand strong even when I'm about to fall over. See, this psychosis builds and builds and builds based on other people's implicit biases. Then we take it in to the degree that we feel like, oh well, I've got to be invincible. I've got to make sure it's always 100%. And sometimes perfection can really be your enemy. You want
Mm-hmm.
to strive for it, but you can't fall on the sword for it to the degree that it impacts you. And I'm very, very guilty of doing that sometimes because I feel like sometimes the expectation placed on me, with some of it I create in my own head.
Mhm.
Wow.
If something doesn't happen the way it should, then I've failed.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's where my own mental health issues and ours collective, especially women who are in roles that are non-traditional roles for Black women, it's almost like everybody's looking at you because they say they're going to fail. They're going to fail. And it becomes just a vicious cycle. You
Mhm.
think that you got to do it exactly right. Because if you fail, then they're going to say, see, you see, these kind of people can't have those roles.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would say that to that, whenever we break a glass ceiling, there are shards that fall to the ground. We still have to walk over those shards. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like they disappear, right? So there are still hazards with every step that we take. We are still at risk for being cut, being poked, being ripped. We are still
Wow.
at risk. The glass is on the floor. It doesn't just like dissipate. It would be wonderful if it did. And for some groups, maybe it does when they bust through glass ceilings. But for us, the glass is very much so there. And you're put in a space where you almost can't can't succeed, but you can't fail either.
But you got to find the balance.
Yeah, you have to find a balance. And
Yeah.
you know what? Let me add to that. One thing that I think is really important is that we also remember as Black women that we have our own
Support group.
dysfunction. That we have our own dysfunction. So it's not, so yes, there might be implicit biases coming towards me. There might be difference that I experience. There might be racism or heterosexism or any of sexism, classism. Yes, there also could be things that we could work on to make us healthier. We could also have more coping mechanisms, right? So it's always important. Like when I see posts and Facebook posts where it's just like, the idea is there's nothing wrong with you, there's something wrong with them. No, I think everybody can grow in a space. I don't think that I believe in any situation I've ever been in my life that I handled it perfectly. I could have done something differently, even if it was speak up and use my voice, or pull back sometimes,
Right.
or be
Mhm.
firmer, or be more gentle, be more. I mean, like there, you can always do something different. So I don't want the expectation to be or the message to be every time you're experiencing racism, there's nothing you can do, or sexism or anything. There's nothing that you are doing, that might be adding to your stress. Certainly you're not contributing to racism, but are there ways that you can become a healthier person or learn from your experience? I think is important.
Wow.
One I can tell you that one of my supervisors, I have had one supervisor in my entire life that I had a terrible relationship with.
Hmm.
We could not, I mean, we would not agree that the sky was blue. And I would say that I learned the most from that experience about how to run my own business. Some things I took where I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. I should do it that way. And other things I would learn to not do. Right. But it was an absolutely atrocious situation for me to be in, a very race baiting 2 years of my life. And yet, um, I was able to take from that.
And that I think is the term and what we say, value in the valley. I mean,
Mm.
we've got to go some places sometimes to really understand the assignment.
Yeah.
That's because we've all had that value in the valley, and I think Ayana Bonzon's book Value in the Valley is a really good book to uh, really explore that. If it were not for the challenges that we face to help us navigate and think through, then our life experiences would not be as robust. And I know that sounds strange, but my mentor, who just God blessed me to have a be in a formal mentoring program, but then stay in that relationship for 26 years in the workplace. We were a management team. Wherever she went, I went along too. And we tell a little story about that experience because she said, well, when we met and I mentored her, I just couldn't get rid of her. That was her joke. And I said, she recognized that she needed a helper who could get the job done. So she needed me to go with her. And
Hmm.
so, but Dr. Carter knows my mentor, and I love her. I call her my professional mother or my earth mother because I lost my biological mother early in my life. I was 25 years old when
Mm.
my mother passed away, and March 4th of this year was 36 years.
Wow. Wow.
36 years. But I look back reflectively every March 4th to say, look where God has brought me from that lowest point in my life, that day that I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe. I can't move. How am I going to live my life without my mother?
Mm.
But God sent other people, as I call
Mhm.
them. You can have one, you can only have one biological mother, but God will send you, or birth mothers, but I said, God will send you earth mothers
Mm.
to really fill in the gap. They don't replace your mother, and I have multiple ones.
Yeah, me
And
too.
they're all now in that 80-year time. They're 80 years or more. They're
Mhm.
one's 80, one's 86, one's
Mm.
about to turn 80. So the difficult situations in life are, I believe, meant to help strengthen us and help us to keep moving forward. But it's only the look back, the retrospective look back, that helps you. Because I have reflected from that particular point in my life to say, if I could get over that, if God help me move forward and do all that he had strategically planned for me, I can do anything. I can deal with the racism. I can deal with the sexism, all of the isms, even within our own community, and know who I am and whose I am.
Wow.
100% of the time. You have to be willing to acknowledge that and accept that.
Absolutely. This has been tremendous. I hope that our listeners are really, and I know they are because I'm looking at the comments as people are coming on, and this is awesome. Let me just shift gears just slightly here because you really have already poured out about your own personal experiences, and that's what people wanted to hear. How you got to where you're at, and so I know there's so much more time that we could spend on that. But since we have you here, Stacy Rodgers, I want to talk about how has Baltimore County been affected by
Sure.
the mental health crises. Um, yeah, start there.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, one of the blessings that you have in roles like this in public administration, public programs and services and government structures is the ability to influence public policy. And that is like the greatest charge of an MPA, a person who administers the programs and ensures that service delivery happens. Dr. Carter said earlier, in terms of my role, simply put, the CAO of Baltimore County, my job is to ensure that government runs day to day,
Hmm.
the day to day operations of the government, the police department, the fire department, the trash and water and human services and health and aging, all of the government structure, what we refer to as the enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
In the absence of the county executive, and this is the part that, I had to really embrace. In the event something were to happen to the county executive, I would become the county executive by
Wow.
charter. My
Wow.
job is defined in the charter that was written, now get this, written 365 years ago. They did not, by any way, shape, or form, envision that someone who looks like me
Come on
and
here.
am a female, that was not written for me. But guess what? For such a time as this, I
Hmm.
do say to the CE on a regular basis, please take good care of you, because I really don't want your job. I've always wanted to be the operational implementer of the vision. My
Mm.
job is to take the vision of the elected or appointed person and operationalize it. So let's get to that. The pandemic has had a significant toll
Wow.
on the community and on the workforce. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we have folks who don't even recognize that because of the double jobs that we've had to do, run the government, address the pandemic, the toll that it's taken on us physiologically and emotionally,
Yes.
tensions flaring up. Uh,
Yes.
Within in the workforce, people just really feeling a sense of helplessness and hopelessness about delivering services that we still had to do. Baltimore County government did not shut down.
Mm.
We took a little
Absolutely.
pause, but we were committed to serving. We were back in our offices by July of 2019. We were not shut down. So, how is that also manifesting itself for the people that we serve? We have had a market increase in the need for mental health services. We've had a
Yes.
market increase when we look at calls, 911 calls for violent crime.
Mhm.
What is exacerbating that? When we look at the school system, the increased violence among the children in the school system, the fights and things that have broken out in schools everywhere, not just schools that serve Black and brown children, predominantly Black and brown children, but everywhere. To me, that is, evidence of the impact, the mental health impact from the last 2.5 years of abnormal functioning, not being able to have the same kind of freedom and access and operational, ability to deliver services or even get services. So you're seeing that. So what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
The county is truly investing more resources, more dollars. Many of the much of the funding that we're doing, some of the new innovative creative work, like expanding our mental health crisis response, where we're pairing social workers with when emergency calls come in, trying to triage those calls from the 911 level to have a mental health professional with the police department, because the police officer responding sends a certain message, but a police officer and a social worker or a crisis response worker, if you will, responding changes the tone of that engagement with the person. But the market increase when we look at the kinds of calls that we're getting from 911, that is mental health related. So we see that. So we have to invest, dollars in doing so, and we are indeed doing that. We have to benchmark best practices, and that's why I'm so thankful for Dr. Gregory Branch. I have to give him the shout out that he is looking at other ways to do this, other ways to partner with the police department, the fire department, and like I said, all the way to 911, and investing in those enhanced service for mental health, to address our mental health response to the community. Inside the government, we are re-examining what our health services offering for our own employees. When you're talking about the employee assistance program, what is it that our employees really need? What does our data tell us in terms of call outs? We had a significant concern about coming back to the workplace.
That's right.
Because of COVID. So you got the great resignation going on with people leaving. And then the people who are there seeing the people leaving and they can't leave. Now they're either angry or scared to death, because how can we do all this work with these people leaving? So you have different needs. I'm pleased to say we are investing in wellness coordinator, which we've never had in the county structure. The other thing is about our lens of equity and, from the diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DEI space, really investing more in helping our workforce understand diversity, equity, and inclusion, because our county is changing. Our county over the last 20 years, we have seen a massive growth of over 100,000 people. We're now upwards of 850,000 people.
Wow.
It is very clear that between now and the next census, 2030, I'll be well out of the workforce by then. We will be a majority minority county. We will, because we're right there. And we have to change how we deliver service to meet the needs of that diverse community. And we can't do it the same way we're doing it. We're talking about it now. We need more language access services.
Absolutely.
We need more services that cross the continuum from the North County, where you have a agricultural rural influence, to the more suburban as you come down county, as we call it, to what happens after you leave the farms and horses. And if you're going toward the Pennsylvania line up 83 and Moncton and all of these areas, we have to serve that part of the community. Then as you get more in the from the suburb the rural and suburban into the urban needs, transportation, affordable housing. This is all a part of the mental health dynamic. Because if you're worried about where you're going to live, food insecurity, a transportation system, reliable transportation to even get to a job, and you wonder why people have mental health issues. So these are the things that I will say I'm so proud of, how we're changing how we even look at the work. If you go to our website, very pleased that one of the first projects that I did for or was honored to lead on behalf of the county executive was our enterprise-wide strategic plan. You will see the plan and the goals, and we're working the plan. One of those goals really was making equitable decisions with an equity lens. And we're doing that from trees to sidewalks to playgrounds to
Wow.
recreation centers. The county has never addressed doing business this way. And the last I'll say, from you asked a question about social media.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh, great, we're dealing with that." Kids or young people, I've got two grands who are just, if they don't have this or the laptop, the other things, they don't know what to do. Well,
Right.
recreation and parks, diversifying our offerings so we can engage more youth in recreational activities and sports to get them away from the devices, and clearly ensuring that there are viable things to do through recreational and park services. And the second, we have the best. If you have not met our new director of libraries, Sonia uh, Alcantara Antoine, get to know her. This is a powerhouse woman,
Wow.
changing the offerings and programmings in our libraries. She's
Mm.
the library. It's more than just about books. It's about programming. It's about space for youth. It's about technology. It's about innovation. And it's about just reimagining what a library can even look like.
Wow.
And mind blowing. So we've got some folks really on the front lines doing great work. And guess what?
Yes.
Guess what?
Yeah.
They look like us.
Absolutely.
The county senior staff is more diverse than ever before in the history of the county. And that's because we have a committed county executive. I have to make my public service announcement. This man took a risk.
Mm-hmm.
He took a risk in hiring me. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how the system, the traditional system, would accept a Black woman in this role.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pleased to say, while we've had to work through some things, I have been able to make a difference and influence public policy across the board, whether it's trash, water, transportation, whatever it is. And if you look at the cabinet, if you look at the county executive's cabinet, you'll be pleased to see a full representation of people of color.
That's awesome.
Now, we still got to do some more stuff. We still have to, because the county is growing. We have other cultural groups that we want to make sure. But he's done a tremendous job, and it really did start with hiring me, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm so thankful and grateful. But we serve a strategic God.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like I wound up there by chance.
Wow. That's awesome. And I look forward to partnering with the county in my role over at Hope Health Systems, in my role with the Black Mental Health Alliance. As you were just talking, I can remember the previous county executive, Kevin Cabinets, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken,
Who died?
and,
Who died in office?
who died in office. I will never forget that. He died so suddenly. And
Mhm.
I remember the election. And I remember meeting the current county exec now, and because it was a three-way tie, so to speak. I mean, that was a
It was
tight,
what?
it was a very
16
tight
votes.
race. Hmm.
16 votes.
Yeah, it was a tight race, and I remember meeting him because of Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam.
Absolutely.
I was at a function, and she introduced me, and she said, "This is the person that you need to meet." And I was looking at him, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, he just looked, just like an ordinary gentleman. But as he talked, you could tell there was something different about him. And Shirley Nathan Pulling, anybody out there in Baltimore or Maryland knows, she is not easy to convince. And let me just say, I watched him, and I really do believe, as you said, it was strategy. It was God's strategy for him to become that, or be elected into that position. And I've seen the growth. I've been here now for 13 years, have always lived in Baltimore County. I always have followed, the people who are in local government, because these are people who
Mhm.
affect, what I do and how I do it. And I'm pleased. I'll be honest with you. I'm very, very pleased. And so thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Carter, you want to add anything in regards to what you may have seen in this particular space? Because we're going to start wrapping up. I want you all to give some last minute words of encouragement, but anything on that particular topic before we move forward?
I don't have anything else. I was a spectator and glad to be one. I was learning about the county as Sister Stacy was talking. So I'm thrilled to know some of the things that are happening. I love the library initiatives. I think that's
Hmm.
going to be amazing. And I'm looking forward to learning more and partnering. No, I don't have anything to add about that particular
Mhm. Well,
topic.
I'll
That's
add one thing. Our county executive is a man of God. The thing
that's
that endeared to me from day one in April of 2019, I had just arrived. The budget was due on April the 15th. I arrived on April 1st. So we're talking about 2 weeks. Before we went upstairs for him to present the budget, because we were together, we walked up together, but he said, I need a minute. So he stopped, he went off to himself, and he began to pray. So
mm,
I observed this. I went over and I put my hand on top of his hand just to stand there with him because he was praying. It was the first budget that he was going to present to the council. So this was all new. That was an indelible moment for us because I knew that I was serving with a man of God. And again, strategic. God is strategic because I'm very particular for who I work for. Because if I'm going to give 200% of myself, I have to believe in that person,
that's right.
because these jobs are hard. They take a toll. They take us away from our families. But I got to believe in the leader.
Mm,
And I can say, I believe in John A. Olszewski Jr. And an easy way to remember his name is O, like the Orioles, and he's an Orioles fan, chef, like a cook, and ski, like somebody skiing downhill. And they call him Johnny O.
right.
I call him Mr. CE, and he calls me Sage
Okay.
because he's 39 and I'm 61.
Okay. Got it.
So we're good. We're
Oh,
good.
that's good. And thank you for breaking it down, because I always had trouble saying his full
Yeah,
name. And I say Johnny O, but now I got it. Oh, Chef Ski. I got
right.
it.
Chef and ski. Oh, chef ski.
I got it. I got it.
Good
I got
man, good man of God, and I'm pleased to serve. And we're planning for success to be there for another 4 years. So
That's
stay
wonderful.
tuned.
That's wonderful.
And
That's
thank you
wonderful.
for having me. I'm just honored.
Oh, this has been awesome. This is awesome. So let me just say this as we begin to bring this to a close. I want you all to hear what I have to say, just based off of what has been said thus far, because we've been talking about the state of mental health of Black women. And so many times, and that's why I wanted to set the tone like I did at the beginning. We hear so many negative things of how women are fighting against each other, and they don't like each other, and they're trying to pull each other like crabs and things like
Yeah.
that. But this show has shown you so much that is different from what we see on a sometimes a daily basis. I am so thankful and proud of the two Black women who I am looking at, even though virtually, but I can feel their energy. I can feel their vibe, as you say. And I really appreciate it. These are some tremendous people. And let me tell you, as you continue to excel, the world has not seen the likes of a Dr. Carter just yet, and definitely of a Mrs. Stacy Rodgers. And so this has been tremendous. Let's leave this show with some words of encouragement. All right. I want you to speak to that woman who has been battling and struggling and who is now mentally and physically exhausted by this pandemic. I want us to leave with those words of encouragement. And I want to thank those who are watching the replay, because so many people, and you may not know this, Stacy Rodgers, that we have tripled the number of replays. So I just want to acknowledge you all now. But let me tell you, these words of encouragement that you're about to give can literally transform someone's life. And so just want to give you a little bit of time there to get it together and formulate it. But speak to that woman. Let's start with you, Dr. Carter. Speak to that woman.
I would say you do not need to see the entire staircase to take the first step.
Come
And
on here.
sometimes we want to see the entire map,
Wow.
and we can't do it. It's not meant for us to see the entire staircase. Sometimes the staircase isn't even built until you take the step.
Wow.
So I think that one of the things I would want to say to that woman is, if you're struggling, the first step is to contact the Black Mental Health Alliance, contact Hope Health Systems, contact the Institute for Healing, and ask about how to get in treatment. There, yes, the pandemic might be over for some people because masks are being lifted and people are going back into work, but the effects of the pandemic will last a very long time.
Yes.
So mental health providers, as well as other healthcare providers, are swamped right now.
Yes, they are.
No breathing room. Okay.
That's true.
We're swamped right now. However, so it might take some time for them to get to you, but make the phone call. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You don't need to figure out everything in order to make that phone call. Leap in the net will appear. So that's what I would say to that woman. And then also, it's always about the process and never about the prize. So life is not about the prize, because the prize would be, finishing life. So it can't be about the prize, right?
Right.
It's never, if you're winning the Super Bowl, it's not really about the win. It's about the journey of getting there. For me, road trips are fun. Getting there is nice, being at Disney, but the trip is fun, right? So I think it's really important to um to 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 concern ourselves with the process. How are we doing? How are we unfolding our lives? Are we making the decisions that we want to make? And if we're not, then let's change the process. But we don't want to just say, well, I got here, I landed this job that I'm not really, that I can't really function in because of my environment. It's always about the process, never about the outcome of the plan. That's right.
Great. Stacy Rodgers.
And I would echo Dr. Carter's comments, and I would add, number one, we know that this journey called life is not something that we have to do alone.
Hmm.
As women, one benefit, and that's where we started, Dr. Shepherd,
Yes.
is the collective.
Yes.
You're never alone. Each of us can think, just about each of us, of that handful, and it shouldn't be more than five people. You can count them on one hand. That if you are challenged, if you're just feeling like it's just overwhelming, having that, you're what I call my support team, that I
Hmm.
can say, that I can tell them, it's been hard. It's hard for me. One of the things I've had to grow into is to acknowledge vulnerability. But
Mm.
being able, because I've got to, again, wear the mask. Everything's good, but it's not always good. And it's okay when to say when it's not. Don't suffer in silence. Don't feel like you can't reach out to your little close group and say, I'm really having a hard time. And for me, that is a spiritual base, because
Mm.
each day I say, Lord, thank you for allowing me to be on the wake up list, to
That's
get
right.
the wake up call. And whatever I'm going to experience today, that you guide me through it, because we serve a strategic God.
Yes.
And when we realize that we don't have to do it by ourselves, if you got to pray yourself through every moment of the day, that's spending more time with God. I have to say,
Mm.
be honest about how I make it.
Hmm.
And it's worked through all of this, through the 61 years of this strategic journey. But I do have a support group. Literally, many of them are older women. Now we're all older together because I'm the baby of the group and I'm
Hmm.
61. So, just that collective support
Yeah.
and reaching out, being the one, because usually I'm the one who's sending we all support each other, but I have always been the reluctant one to say, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
That, and then last, seek help, seek professional help. I've had several instances throughout my life where, whether it was, pastoral counseling or counseling through services like your um, organizations, therapy is good for you because it allows you to release. We have to get away.
Wow.
The Black community has to get away from this stigma about, oh, you must be crazy if you got to go to therapy. People automatically say, no, I don't need a therapist. A therapist, like that's like a poison or something.
Right.
We have to be able to release all of this,
Mhm.
because keeping it all bottled up and suffering, as I say, in silence, kills us. So just reach out and know that we serve a God that sits high, looks low, and the righteous will never be forsaken. But you just can't just sit there in silence.
Absolutely. Oh, this has been awesome. Man, this has been one of my favorite shows.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to bring this to a close. I just want to remind the folks out there who are listening that Hope Health Systems is open, has remained open. I will say this between Hope Health Systems Institute of Healing, or for Healing, is of Healing, I'm sorry. And
or
between both of us, we've remained open throughout the pandemic.
yeah,
Every institution cannot say that, you all. And I know many that have shut down, or they've had to reduce their workforce or cut their hours by half or things like that. But we're fortunate, and I'm thankful to work for an organization where we continue to excel and look to add to our services. And so we're on the move also. Reach out to us, Hope Health Systems, and we'll gladly service you if you're in need of direct care services. Dr. Carter, where can people go for Institute for Healing?
You can find us at www.myiheal.com, the letter I, and then HEAL.com, or you can give us a call at 410-864-0211.
That's right. I know that number. Give it out so much. All right. Dr. Stacy, I said doctor. All right. Might as well be the way you have the way you explain things today. Seriously, where can people reach out to you if they would like to reach out to you?
Sure, you can reach out to us, but what I encourage people to do is go to our website, go to the county's website, and you can search by topics, and it's BaltimoreCountyMD.gov, BaltimoreCountyMD.gov. And then just explore the county website, the library services, recreation and park services, our public health services, social services, the public benefits side. People would be surprised sometimes, especially like seniors, of some of the resources that are there, assistance with home repair, the SNAP program targeted towards seniors, lots of government services. And you can find me in the historic courthouse, in the office of the county executive. Can't say that I know the number. I don't call myself. But if you call the office of the county of executive, if you go to the website, Office of the County Executive, our wonderful voice of Baltimore County government, Miss Marge, sits two doors away from me in the general office of the county executive. Love to help if there's need of services across the continuum, whatever the services are. Tonight we talked about some of the more supportive human services, whatever it is. Tax issues, water bill issues, whatever it is, Baltimore County government is here to serve you. That is what we're charged to do. And for such a time as this, as the county administrative officer, I'm there to ensure that we run a stellar operation that's customer centric.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. This has been awesome. Please share, please like. I know that this is a different time and day that I normally do the broadcast, but I had to do it at this time because these guests were available and I had to have them on. So I want to let you know, thank you for all those who stayed with us for this hour conversation. Please go ahead and share and like. You can send me some messages. Let me know what you enjoyed about the show, and I'll definitely let our guests know. Please hang tight, guests, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Please be careful. Please be safe. Enjoy your weekend as it's coming up, and I'll see you next time on Ask.
Thank you, Dr. Shepard.
Absolutely.